Hey folks, Karyn Bryant for MMA H.E.A.T. I'm talking with Belal Muhammad. Remember the name. Belal's going to be throwing down against Geoff Neal at UFC Brooklyn. I'm so excited. I'm really happy that you're fighting. So what happened last time? We were going to talk, and like that day you were like, yeah, I'm ready to talk. Then you got injured. So not that we want to focus on that, but what happened and how ready are you to get back in action now?
Man, it was awful. It was one of those where I was excited for the fight. I was going against a good opponent, a guy on a win streak. So it was like one of those where I knew it was a good fight for me. I could make my name off of it. Yeah. Going to Brazil, I was getting excited for Brazil. All my family bought tickets to Brazil. Then all of a sudden, bam! Like literally, like the week before, I get hurt, and I'm like, oh my god! It was like the worst thing ever. Yeah. And it was one of those where I never get hurt. I never pull out of a fight. Like I'll never say no to a fight. And I'm one of those tough guys that be like, well, if I can't wrestle, I'll just strike with the guy, and I'll do that. And then, but like work with Ali, a new manager and everything like that. He's the type that cares about you first. So he's like, dude, shut your mouth. You're pulling out. And I was like, no, I'm not pulling out. I'm not gonna look like a wimp. And then he's like, no, it has nothing to do with that. Be quiet, shut up, get healthy. But honestly, it helped me in the end. I feel like last year I only had one fight, but I learned a lot last year. I learned a lot. I learned a lot about my training. And I just got better. I feel like a whole lot better skill-wise. Cool. I was going on like 3 or 4 years where I was having like 3 fights in a row, 3 fights, 4 fights in a year. But in that time, you're really more focused on camp.
Right.
That whole last year, I was worried about skill, bettering myself, watching video of myself, not having to watch any opponents, watch myself, and then just get better. I wasn't able to train for probably like 2 months. I had to take off because of the injury, but it was just studying, man, and just changing my game up.
Right. Yeah. I mean, obviously it was a gift in a way. It was the right thing, that maybe something that you actually needed to have a year with less activity inside the octagon. So what do you think are the new wrinkles then that we can expect to see when you throw down with Geoff?
I feel like you're going to see a new mentality about me, man. Yeah. Like I feel like that's one of my biggest weaknesses going into the fight game. I'm too comfortable going in there. Sometimes it can help you. Sometimes it can hurt you. But you got to just have that killer instinct type thing where I'm in there and I'm not afraid of anybody. So I'm like more in there like, all right, let's go have fun a little bit. Yeah. But I still gotta have that mentality now where my coaches are like instilling it in me where you still got it. This guy's trying to hurt you. So you better go in there and try to hurt him even worse. So I feel like it's a big mentality game about me now that I changed a lot. And I feel like it's going to show a lot in this fight.
Well, that's really, that'll be interesting to see because I feel like there's something about your fight style that for the other fighter, it's very frustrating because even though you seem to be relaxed or have this approach, and they're like, you don't die. Like, you don't go away in there. Like, you're impossible. You're like a roach. Just get rid of the dude. You can't get rid of you. And now you're healed up. You're, healthier all around and everything. You already had a great chin anyway. But where do you think you're going to be tested the most with Geoff? What do you think the skills are that he's going to bring in there and try to use against you the most?
I feel like he's going to be confident coming in there just as he's coming off 2 quick knockouts in the UFC. So he's going to come in there thinking, man, I'm on a high right now. I got 2 knockouts. I got a head kick knockout. I think he won the bonus for it. So he's going to be coming in there thinking he's a killer. Yeah. But at the end of every movie, all the killers always die, right? So that's what I'm here for. I'm that hero that's going to go in there and put him to sleep.
Nice. It's convincing. You know what I mean? You make a good argument. You definitely make a good argument. It's the first show, obviously, that the UFC is having on ESPN. It's the new era. Does that factor into your head at all that you want to make an imprint, not only, for your career, but now this is a moment where a lot of eyes are focused on you. So how do you kind of internalize the idea that there's so many more eyes? It's a whole new opportunity. It's like the rebirth of the UFC in a way.
Yeah, man, it's awesome. It's one of those where you're growing up all the time, and when you're younger, watching ESPN, always being like, man, I used to play basketball when I was younger, play football when I was younger. I was like, man, I'm gonna be on ESPN. I'm gonna be on ESPN.
Right.
Unfortunately, I didn't have any growth spurs, so I could probably still make the NBA if I really tried. Yeah. But I had to stick with fighting. So now it's just great that I'm gonna honestly be on ESPN. Yeah. Where nobody ever thought I would be on there. Like all the people, whenever I started fighting, they were like, yeah, you'll never make it, and all this other stuff. So it feels good to give them that little kickback. Like, I'm going to be on the first show on ESPN. I'm going to go out there, and then I want to – those new people that are watching, I want to keep them watching. Yeah. So, like, that new fan base that are watching, I want them to be attached to me now, where it's like, man, when's the next time that guy's fighting? I want to keep watching him. I'm going to remember that name.
I was just going to say, you want them to remember that name. Well, if I'm being completely honest with you, obviously I worked at FS1 for 6 years, and I totally loved it. It was an incredible experience, but it's very frustrating for me a lot of the time. You check into a hotel, you're like, hey, any sports on? They only have ESPN. Do you know what I mean? Only, a lot of places, ESPN is synonymous with sports. It was an uphill battle that Fox had with FS1 anyway. So, yeah, I mean, to finally be on the ESPN is going to be kind of great. And, even I know when I'm out playing tennis or whatever, you have a great shot. You're like, that's on Sports Center. And then I remember I'm like, ooh, I'm not supposed to say that. You know what I mean? I'm not supposed to say that was a Sports Center, sir. But, it was. But so now it feels good to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And I really feel like, yeah, you have an opportunity to make people pay attention to you in a time where your division already is getting a lot of attention.
Yeah, it'll be like one of those where like top 10 will come on, and then like once every blue moon you'll see like an MMA quick knockout or crazy knockout there, man. But so that's why it's even better now. We're actually gonna be fighting on there. Right. You see Manny Pacquiao fighting on there. Those guys that are at the top of the game, top of the fighting game. Now people are gonna start realizing, oh, what's this UFC thing? Let's start watching that a little bit.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm very excited. And as mentioned, your division is very hot. Obviously, Tyron Woodley is the champion. T. Wood spends a lot of time out at Roufusport. So I know you guys have gotten some work in probably over the years. I know you would have an attachment to T. Wood, I would imagine. No? Yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like he's a champ. That's where I want to be. That's where just seeing that guy, how he works, how he moves, you want to learn from him. So, and he's like one of those guys that, one of the nicest guys you ever meet. And I mean, he has so many haters for no reason at all, that people that don't even really know him. But he's like one of those guys that's always going to teach you, always try to help you no matter what. And you could ask him anything. So that's like one of the guys that I want to be when I'm getting to that level. So that's the level I want to get to. So like just learning from him, having him at the gym is just a big factor in my game.
Yeah, it's great. I've known Tyron, now like more than 10 years or so. So I've known him before, Strikeforce days and all this stuff. I remember I was working the desk when he became champion. It really meant a lot to me too, to see a friend achieve his dreams and everything. I think Tyron is a tremendous champion, and I agree. Like I don't really, like, I understand where the haters come from, but at the same time, I feel like if people really knew him, you can't hate the guy. That said, I did text him the other day and tell him that Colby Covington playing the victim was probably the funniest thing that I had heard in like a really, really long time. Like the irony, the pot and the kettle, it was so layered and nuanced with hilarity and irony. I'm just curious what your take is on that whole thing.
Like literally, when I started seeing that, I'm like sitting there, like people are actually feeling sorry for me. I was like, "Are you guys serious right now?" I'm sorry. I'm looking at it like, are these people really feeling sorry for this guy right now? The guy that literally talked about a whole country, try to play that whole spiel, being the bad guy, being the guy that talks trash, doesn't care what he would say to anybody, would say the worst things in the world to people just to get a look out of them. But when he sees them face to face, he's so afraid he won't say a word to you. He will look away from you because he was playing that act. But I'm like sitting there like the thing about the act he's trying to play is, when it comes down to it, and then you really had a show, if you're really that man, like you talk like a man, be a man. You had a chance to fight Usman. You were saying, oh, I'm the champion. This is the real bout. I'm going to take the real bout to Donald Trump. Okay, Woodley was hurt. So you had an opportunity to headline a card, be the champ, fight Usman, but you turned it down. So that was really on you. You didn't have the ball to step up and fight Usman. If you're the champ, you're going to fight the next guy up no matter what. That's the whole point of the ranking system, is to fight the next guy behind you. You're sitting out, no, I'm away from Woodley. But I thought you have the real title bout, right? Right. So, like, you play that whole spiel. You want to be the whole wrestling act where, like, you want to act like The Rock or Stone Cold Steve Austin. But the thing about those guys are that that's fake. This isn't fake. This is real. So if you're going to talk about it, you really got it in the cage and fight somebody about it and be about it.
Yeah, you got to be about it. And that's the thing, is I do think he has a good skill set. I'm not trying to say that the guy doesn't have talent. Obviously, he does. But the way he's gone about trying to build his name, I never appreciated anyway. I like people, like you said, to be about the fighting and less about the talking about it. And there is a part of me that understands the frustration of getting passed over and all that. But like you said, he's had opportunities to prove if he really was that person, and he wasn't. And you can't. Just hilarious. I don't know why it's so funny to me for him to say the same words in the victim speak when he I just anyway.
But it's like if I'm in the UFC's, if I'm like Dana White or anybody, like I'm seeing him not turning on to fight Usman, I could imagine what would happen if he actually beat Woodley and he was the real champion. He would probably sit out for like 3 years and then just literally just sit out there the whole time. And I'm not gonna fight this guy. I'm not gonna pay me $100 million. That's the only time I'll fight. He's gonna be one of those guys, obviously. So why would I give him a title shot?
Yeah, and the thing that's crazy to me is, and I've said this before, the whole thing about his talking and everything, that wasn't what made me mad. The fact that it was like working on people made me mad. Do you know what I mean? That was upsetting to me. So I do wonder, like the retention of his fan base, how that's going to work if he doesn't continue to back up those things he says. I don't know. He's a good fighter.
Yeah. Yeah, but honestly, I mean, his fan base is kind of weirdos. Like, I'll sit there and post something about it, and they'll be like the biggest nerds in the world that'll comment. Like, they're the only ones that are literally look at his videos of him just freaking slapping girls on the butt and dumb and like laugh about it. Like, you guys really buying into this guy right now? This guy's seriously like he's trying way too hard.
He's trying way too hard. But that said, we do actually have a title fight between Kamaru and Tyron. And like we said, you have trained with Tyron. You know the guy. Like, I'm just curious how you think that will play out. I mean, because in some ways, it's two guys very similar. I mean, it's just that Tyron is more explosive and has a lot more power. And obviously is the champion for a reason. But I'm just curious, since you know him well and you know the division well.
Yeah, honestly, like that's the thing first. I'm a fan first also. Yeah. Like, I'm not one of those guys that says, oh, I don't watch anybody in the UFC. I watch every single person in the 170-pound division, and because I could be fighting any single one of them at any time. So, like, I paid attention to Usman. I paid attention to the Woodley, trained with Woodley. So, I honestly think it's going to be an awesome fight. It's going to be a great fight. And I feel like it could have headlined its own card on its own. Yeah. Didn't have to be on the Jones card. But I think that Woodley's just going to be too explosive for him. Woodley's been in that championship fights for so long, and people don't understand how powerful he is. Like, that natural power. And now where he's starting to be smart with his timing and everything like that, where people said, oh, he was gassing early and all this other stuff. Now he's starting to be a lot smarter with the way he lets go of his energy. So, and people saw it in the Till fight. They were hyping up Till like he was the next big thing. Right. Now they're doing the same thing with Usman, and all it takes is one Tyron to land one punch, and you're out.
Yep. Well, Kamaru is very good, and I do feel bad for him in that whole 30% thing still kind of follows him around. And I was one of those who was guilty of it at the time, too, misunderstanding what he meant. I thought he was like, hey, it only took me 30% of my skill to beat this clown. You know what I mean? That's kind of how I took it, and I was like, oh, that's kind of a weird thing. But then when I realized it was the injury thing, that made sense to me. But, I feel like he has he maybe doesn't get as much respect as he deserves, because he actually is an incredible fighter.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's a great fighter, and he did it the right way, where he just kept winning. He didn't have to talk or anything out. But then now I feel like he got to the point now where he's like, all right, now I got to get my name out there, because the people aren't going to be screaming for me to fight unless you're talking. So unless you're bringing that Twitter or that social media angle to it, that is really going to care about if you're fighting or not. Nowadays with the UFC, you need that entertainment factor. So now I feel like he's starting to talk a lot more, but I mean, his skill talks for itself anyway. Totally. Like, he dominated so many guys, so I feel like he deserves it more than Kobe regardless. Yeah.
Well, yeah, and I met him on The Ultimate Fighter, doing tough and everything, and he impressed me right from the beginning there anyway. And Kamaru has a very focused mindset. I'm not surprised he's in the position he's in. But now you talk about entertainment, and I want to show you something, Belal. We have a mutual friend here in Alan Jouban. You are maybe not as friendly with him, having fought him. You guys did have a great fight, an incredible fight. He eked out the victory, but you guys both got the bonus, which I love, right? We love that. So anyway, I was with Alan today.
Belal,
so
my
he has a
friend.
message for you.
What's up, dude? I was talking to a little bird, a little blue bird here, and she said she's doing an interview with you, man. I thought I would say hi. I saw you at the retreat about a year ago, and the one thing that stood out about you was your biceps. You've got huge biceps. You've got great arms, and I wanted to compliment you on that and tell you to look out, son, okay? Just take a note of that. Don't forget that. May we train together in the future. Peace, brother. Take care.
I love it. So we'll roll that in full screen, but I want to make sure you hear. But yeah, he said Belal's biceps were like ridiculous. And he said he was walking around the whole time and like cut off stuff and like flexing and everything. So, I mean, what's the secret? Obviously, we know you do a lot of punching, but apparently you're Mr. Bicep. If Alan, the pretty boy model is admiring your biceps, something's right.
I'm glad he noticed. I'm glad somebody out there noticed. I was going sleeveless for a reason. I'm glad it caught his eye. So, I had different secrets. I'm opening up my own gym about biceps, but I'll save that for later.
I love it. I love it. I really do love that. That's one thing people say it all the time, but that I love about the fight game is, you go in as adversaries, you wail on each other for a little while, you hug it out after. And to me, that was still one of such a great debut. I know you probably would have liked to win, I'm sure, but even still, I remember, I literally remembered the name after it because I was like, that is just, it was great. So did you ever spend anything buy anything good with that 50 grand? Did you treat yourself, or are you too sort of rational and responsible and you just put it in the bank? Which is smart,
I'm one of those responsible guys. Maybe I'll buy a couple pairs of shoes, but I'm just saving up to do my own things, open up businesses and stuff like that. Cool. So yeah, I'm not doing anything crazy with it yet.
That's good. No, that's smart. Believe me, it's smart. But I just figure, it's nice to buy yourself a little treat. So you're saying you want to do some things for yourself. You do sound like a businessman. So I'm wondering if and when really you and Felder are opening the air fryer restaurant, right? Because that's the next step.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. Paul Felder literally got everybody at Roufusport buying an air fryer. He came in, and then we just literally realized yesterday that he doesn't have one. His roommate has one, and he's just using his roommate the whole time. And we were like, "Wait, you're hyping us all up to buy one, and you don't even have your own?" He said, "Nah, man, but trust me, get it." But honestly, I bought one, and it's honestly the best thing I've ever had. So
really.
Yeah, you can literally make so many things with it, and it makes everything so much better and a lot easier. You wouldn't expect it, but yeah, you can do it with it. And then it's one of those where you'll get excited about cooking vegetables and stuff like that. You're like, man, I'm gonna make sweet potato chips. And you see all these fighters, literally we're about to start sparring, but we're all talking about our recipes. Paul's like, yeah, the best thing I air fried was carrots. And we're like, oh man, I'm gonna go try that after practice. And you're like, yeah,
it's amazing.
We'll start sparring.
I gotta get one apparently, because I see the commercials and stuff. And I'm like, I guess it's just I don't really have an affinity for fried food in general too much. So I'm like, I don't know that there's that much of a demand for it in my house. But apparently, I can cook anything in it.
You can cook cook steaks, fish, everything. It's literally the best thing I bought. So, and it's a lot easier than anything else. Trust me, you won't be dissatisfied once you get one. Nice.
Well, I thought of you guys, and I sent that picture. I was in Costco. I was like, son of a gun, they have an air fryer recipe, cookbook and everything. Pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's pretty
fun. Well, I'm really excited to see you fight next week in Brooklyn. I will be there. That'll be our first show on ESPN. I'm not going to lie. I haven't quite started practicing in the mirror, but I literally, the other day I was talking to my producer. I was like, okay, so how do I say it? Is it, UFC Brooklyn on ESPN? Plus, I literally now, my mouth has to get used to saying, a whole other thing. And I'm really nervous about saying the wrong thing.
Flip it up saying Fox.
Yeah, it's 6 years of FS1, Fox, da-da-da-da-da. So it's going to be crazy, but I'm very excited to see you fight. Happy that you're back in action. And so ideally, you would try to get maybe 3 fights this year, or what? Because you actually do fight and train during Ramadan, right?
Yeah, I'm training all year. So I'm hoping, come out of this fight unscathed, hopefully, and then just keep it going. I just want to stay more active, like you said. Hopefully, I get within 10 fights this year. So keep it going month by month. So my next easiest opponent should probably be Colby Covington after this. So as long as we just keep it with smart opponents after this, so we'll be all right.
Nice. I love it. Belal, I think you're great. I love your sense of humor. I love your sensibility. I think you're awesome. Looking forward to seeing you in person next week. So safe travels and have fun out there and enjoy the air fryer. So do you use the air fryer to cut weight, or is it not okay for cutting weight?
No, you could cut weight with it. Yeah, it's not really. You're not literally frying. It's literally air that's cooking it. So you don't have to put no oil or anything on there. It's just, I'm telling you, it's awesome.
Is it going to be your carry-on though? That's the question.
That's what I told Paul. But now I'm gonna start working with the UFC, and they're doing that trifecta thing. So I said, all right. So I'll have my meals down there. So it'll be cool.
Nice. Very nice. Awesome. Cool. Well, I'm really excited. Like I said, you versus Geoff Neal on the first UFC show on ESPN. Remember the name Belal Muhammad, guys. Thanks for joining me today, Belal. See you soon.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too.